especially for Festival Village, because we use tons and tons of glass and other recyclables. And in particular glass, the people who serve the drinks, they don't normally give you bottles. So once the bottles are in-house, they can choose what they want to do with it, and I feel like recycling in-house at the bars or different booths at the festival could bring in a lot of recyclables and reduce the amount of waste for our festival.
It's definitely a great idea.
Who wants to go next?
Okay.
Well, this isn't a particular specific idea, but just sort of a generalization. I realize we really have a culture of, incentives. When you actually go to do something, well, what's in it for me? Whatever ideas that we come up with, I think some of it needs to be surrounded around the whole idea of incentivization for people, whether it be competitions, maybe for bragging rights, the people who can collect the most recyclable materials or whatever it is, just small areas. And I just wanted to highlight one of the things that I do, what I've started in my business. I own Sage Roots. It's a very small company that handcrafts home and body products. And we package all of the majority of our products in glass. And what I've actually started last week is a loyalty campaign where customers can come get a loyalty card, and every time they purchase, when they purchase a product, once it's finished, they bring back their glass containers to me, and I can actually recycle them. So there are specific containers that I actually use to fill my product. And once they return a certain amount, they get a percentage off of their next purchase. So creating that incentive for them to want to actually do it versus taking the easy way out and just tossing it in the bin.
Well, that definitely makes sense. So I have a golden retriever at home, and she's an 80-pound, 2-year-old dog, big appetite. But I found a dog food company, a local company throughout the United States. I can't remember exactly where they're at, but what they encourage is for you to bring back the bag. We all kind of know the big bags that they come in, but for every bag that gets brought back to them, they plant one tree, which is really exciting. So not only do I not have to put that bag into the trash, but the company who is already sending out the material, they just get a pallet back with all their bags, they count them up, and then they add those trees onto the count of what they planted for the year. So I feel great doing it. I know that there's still something kind of in return. But even if I didn't care about the waste, I would care about the trees. So I think that's pretty cool. And the glass thing is perfect, because you need to use them anyways, right? Okay.
I have a comment based on the lady in front of me in terms of the incentives. One of the things that we see in Virgin Gorda, I have to say Virgin Gorda because that's where our project is located. Yeah. We have cleanups every month, every second Saturday of the month. The bulk of the persons that we see coming out to those cleanups are usually high school students, so the secondary school students, so ages 11 all the way up until 16. They're there primarily because they need to get hours of community service in order to graduate from secondary school, right? We see all kinds of things in the field. We have to motivate them. Generally, about 40% of them usually feel that just turning up means that they'll get a sign off. This is one of the areas where I have a little bit of a challenge because I find that it is incorrect to be able to reward someone just for showing up. If you're going to show up, you need to perform. So to provide an incentive just because you turned up to me is not enough. All of us turn out there to in the end to produce in order to make a difference when we're done. And I don't think it's just not enough. So the young people are usually looking for that sign off just because they've turned up for the hour and a half. But in that hour and a half, when Vanessa have collected maybe about 4 bags of garbage, they have done 3/4 of a bag.
You know, there's definitely some approaches that by giving an incentive for almost the wrong behavior can be looked at, because you want people to continue this behavior even without the incentives. Eventually, you can't just keep paying people to do something. It's one thing when it's built in. For example, the glass deposit. When the price is already built into it and then they're getting that money back, it's basically a break even. One of the thoughts though for the cleanup is what about having like an adopt a beach or adopt a road? That's very popular up in the States for us because people can have, it's almost like a little badge of honor. It's like a little advertisement saying, hey, you know, our bar is along this beach. We're gonna adopt a quarter mile or a half a mile of this beach, and we're gonna have signs in the parking lot. So when people come up, it's gonna say, you know, beach cleanup efforts hosted by this company. And then people can kind of see, like, someone's taking pride, someone's taking ownership here. There are people also watching, and it kind of comes back down to the shaming thing. Because if employees go out and they spend half a day cleaning up an area, and then they see one of their buddies throwing a bag of trash there the next day, it's like, no, I'm gonna have to pick that up. Don't do that. So that can be another approach too.
That's something else I wanted to add. It ultimately they have to feel like it's their social responsibility to be there. Because eventually you will no longer be a child, you'll go into an adult, and those behaviors you want them to be able to carry with them. That was just my comment on that. In terms of the adopt a spot, adopt a beach in Virgin Gorda, in our planning, or one of our next steps is actually to unroll an adopt a spot program, where we approach schools, churches, businesses for them to take on the responsibility of taking care of areas that we've identified that tend to be a little bit litter laden. They're untidy, and we just want that particular group to be able to take hold of that particular spot, remove maybe the bush, the litter, etc. Beautify it, if you want to use that term, which might just mean keeping the grass and the trees down, and just presenting a space that is more attractive to look at. So that's something that we'll be unrolling in the future.
I'll just comment on that right now. As a Rotaractor, member of the Rotary Club of Baltimore, we are currently working with the district chair, and work on cleaning up the trail to Pond Bay to make it more accessible, and then we're also going to be helping them restore the bohayos down on the beach. No, Pond Bay. Yeah.
Akeem, this might be a good time to talk about the glass project that you're going to work on
Yes.
too with the
So
kids.
one of the things that I have planned for September is you saw the bins that Caitlin showed. We're going to be doing a project with the schools on Baltimore. 300 bins, they're handheld. So each student will have a bin and they'll carry them home and they bring glass. And at the end of the week, each school, we will go into each school and we will mark how many glass was collected from the school. And it's going to be done by a term. And at the end of the term, the school that collected the most glass, they will get a custom-made concrete and recycled glass bench using the same glass and table for their school. So it's going to go back as like beautifying the school and giving them things that they can use and helping them to build knowledge on recycling, because we as BVI and adults have not been growing up like, oh, we have to recycle. It's sort of new. So to me, if you get the students now, the small students or even the larger students, to go home and say, Mommy, Daddy, don't throw away the glass, they can carry it to recycle. Over time, it's gonna come like a norm to the parents, like, I'll put the glass there to recycle, and then eventually they can start recycling other products as well. So that's a plan for September, and we see how it goes.
I just wanted to add one quick thing. I think that the efforts that Akeem and Caitlin have made to get this group together here have been awesome, and I've loved this conversation, and I hope it continues. And one of the innovative ideas that I wanted to put out there was something that it happens in Fort Collins, but it happens actually in cities all over the world. It's something called Green Drinks. And what Green Drinks is a very casual, once a month, the businesses and the organizations and the people who care about the planet, whether your business mission is specifically around it, but you've got some environmental incentive to come and basically hang out and network together once a month. There's usually one person that will speak and talk about maybe what their challenge is for the coming week, or maybe a big accomplishment that was made. We tend to rotate and go to different offices around the city, and a different person will host it each week. It's very low impact. I would love for the Forge to begin to start hosting green drinks on a monthly basis and just bring everybody together regularly to have conversations and to talk about it and to connect with each other and to start to find unity and kind of associating with each other regularly and support each other in their businesses. So maybe that's something that can happen next.
I love that idea. I was just going to say, it would be a shame for there not to be this unity factor. We have such a big obstacle to tackle when it comes to, greenhouse gases and recycling and waste diversion. And without all of these great minds working together in kind of one unison, we can have multiple glass companies, we can have multiple plastic companies all kind of in the same realm, but it's less of competing against each other and it's competing against the problem. So when we unite, we become so much stronger. So I would love to see, these groups continue to get together, doing the green drinks, and really just kind of keep the brains going, because it sounds like we got something coming up with the schools in September, Team's got something too. It's also not having missed messages. So if there's a leader or there's a group, maybe it's the Department of Waste Management that can basically say, hey, this is overarching goals, and you can feed into them. But make sure that the message that we're sending out to the community, that we're sending out to the children, is one message. And whatever that is, it will be great.
Okay, guys, I'd like to wrap up now.
Just a little something that I thought I'd just throw out as a thought, if I may. Well,
Just be so much more.
Just as we're sitting here and listening, and really, I'm really appreciating everything that's coming to the table. But one of the things that I find myself in different situations in project management is understanding the language that your community or the people that you're working with understand. So we're going back to the whole communication thing. Recycling, green, eco, these are new languages in this culture. These are new words in this culture. But what I perceive, and please correct me if I'm incredibly wrong, that in this culture, in this country, it wasn't too long ago that there were generations, and have been generations, and these generations still do exist, that had to figure out how to be resourceful, which ultimately is very green. And so to try and marry the language that we're using here into a language that people understand and can associate and affiliate with.
Okay, guys, so I'd like to thank every one of you for attending here today. I know you're here because you all share interest in recycling, and we all would like to work together to see our BVI get greener and cleaner and healthier. And what I like is for this to not be a one-time thing. What our whole goal of it would be is to keep in communication with each other. Maybe as recyclers in the BVI, we can all form one mind, like one voice, so that when we're approaching waste management or anything with our issues of government, like how we have, like on Facebook, there's a group, BVI Entrepreneurs Unite. We can have BVI Recyclers Unite. It's a way that we can have a forum that we can all channel our green thoughts together and push them towards waste management to create different things to work for us in the BVI. So with that said, thank you guys again for coming. And that's the things. Can I have Caitlin, Chris can put on the camera for a while. And Hasina, come up here please, and let's all give them a hand A round of applause.